Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's top stories. Can a former president be barred from running for office under the 14th Amendment's insurrection clause? The Supreme Court heard this case today. Chinese hackers have accessed the U.S. infrastructure for years undetected. More on a warning from the FBI. California state officials have stepped in to address Oakland's rising crime. The former police chief sues the city and mayor. First up, an outbreak on a luxury cruise ship, and the CDC is now investigating. More than 150 people have reported a gastrointestinal illness, including diarrhea and vomiting.
The Queen Victoria, operated by Cunard Cruise Line, departed San Francisco Wednesday on its way from Florida to Hawaii. About 130 of the 1,800 passengers on board reported being ill during the voyage, and 25 of 970 crew members were ill. The cause of the illness is unknown. In response, Cunard increased cleaning and disinfection and isolated ill passengers and crew. According to the CDC, the reported cases are totals for the entire voyage and do not represent how many people were actively sick at any one time. The ship originated in Germany on January 9th and departed Florida on January 22nd. Its next stop is Honolulu, Hawaii on February 12th and ends in Australia next month.
Now let's take a look at other top headlines. Can former President Trump be barred from running for office under the 14th Amendment's insurrection clause? The Supreme Court heard oral arguments today in a landmark case. Two states, Colorado and Maine, determined Trump should be pulled from their ballots based on the Constitution's 14th Amendment. The states' decisions are based on Trump's alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election and his role in the January 6th Capitol breach, but Trump has never been indicted or charged with insurrection. The Supreme Court appears poised to back former President Donald Trump. During arguments, Chief Justice John Roberts questioned whether this would lead to other states kicking other candidates off their ballots.
If Colorado's position is upheld, surely there will be disqualification proceedings on the other side, and some of those will succeed. I would expect that a goodly number of states will say whoever the Democratic candidate is, you're off the ballot, and others for the Republican candidate, you're off the ballot, and it'll come down to just a handful of states that are going to decide the presidential election. That's a pretty daunting consequence.
Justice Elena Kagan questioned why a single state gets to decide who gets to be the president of the United States, calling that quite extraordinary. Former President Trump said he's a believer in the United States and the Supreme Court. Trump had this to say after the hearing.
It's unfortunate that we have to go through a thing like that. I consider it to be more election interference by the Democrats. That's what they're doing. The good news is we're leading virtually every poll.
The High Court's decision could have major ramifications in other states that have pending litigation to remove Trump from their 2024 ballots. 5 U.S. Marines aboard a helicopter that went down during stormy weather in California are confirmed dead. Authorities say the CH-53E Super Stallion vanished late Tuesday night while returning to Marine Corps Air Station Miramar in San Diego after training at Creech Air Force Base, northwest of Las Vegas. The craft was discovered Wednesday morning near the mountain community of Pine Valley, an hour's drive from San Diego. The names of the Marines were not immediately released. Officials said that efforts to recover the bodies of the Marines and equipment from the helicopter are underway. The investigation into the crash is also ongoing. Chinese hackers have been in U.S. infrastructure for years undetected. Intelligence agencies issued an urgent bulletin saying Chinese hacking group called Volt Typhoon has breached computer networks of water, energy, and transportation facilities across the U.S., including Guam. And they have had access to that critical infrastructure for at least 5 years. The advisory said they stole administrator credentials, and in some cases, hackers got their hands on the surveillance cameras at some critical facilities. Officials said they cut off the hackers' access to the systems but warned this group could keep trying to find new ways in. Meanwhile, the Chinese Communist Party has launched a propaganda campaign to infiltrate Western media. A University of Toronto-based digital watchdog called Citizen Lab found a global influence campaign pushing Chinese regime content. The campaign, dubbed the Paper Wall, includes over 100 websites in 30 countries that mix CCP propaganda with the local news. The websites are set up to look like local news media outlets. Citizen Lab traced the network to CCP public relations firm Haimai, assessed the influence campaign started in 2020. Most of the content Citizen Lab found was from a press release service called Times Newswire. There has been a recent surge in robberies targeting Apple stores in the Bay Area. NTD's Christina Corona has more on the story.
A thief committed a brazen daytime robbery at an Emory Apple store Monday. Footage posted on Citizens app shows a man dressed in black moving from table to table, quickly snatching phones from their displays and stuffing them into his pockets. He seized numerous phones, each valued at hundreds of dollars. As he exits the store, the suspect is seen walking by a police cruiser before he proceeds to board a black Hyundai. The Emeryville Police Department clarified the police vehicle in the video was a ghost car, which is used to deter crime. Meanwhile, 3 people were also arrested in connection with the theft of 75 iPhones from a Berkeley Apple store on Wednesday. The Berkeley Police Department reported that an individual entered a Berkeley Apple store located at 1823 4th Street and made off with approximately 75 phones around 12:20 p.m. Berkeley PD said in a statement, detectives worked with CHP, OPD, and Emeryville PD to successfully track the phones and take 3 adults into custody in Oakland. The identities of the suspects, 2 men and a woman, were not disclosed. The Berkeley PD said the same crew may be responsible for several organized retail theft crimes from the Berkeley Apple store. It remains unknown whether the arrest in Emeryville was linked to this incident. Christina Corona, NTD News, California.
A former California police chief fired from his post last year has sued the city of Oakland and its mayor. He says he was unlawfully terminated in retaliation. Amid the rising crime, state officials are now stepping in.
On Thursday, Governor Gavin Newsom and Attorney General Rob Bonta said they will deploy state attorneys to boost criminal prosecutions in Oakland and the East Bay. This comes as Newsom announced on Tuesday he would deploy 120 California Highway Patrol officers to Oakland to assist with targeted crackdowns on criminal activity, including vehicle and retail theft. Oakland has been without a permanent police chief since LaRon Armstrong was fired, even as violent crime, robbery, and vehicle theft climbed. Armstrong filed a lawsuit in Alameda County Superior Court on Monday seeking reinstatement as police chief. Mayor Sheng Tao fired him in February 2023 after a probe ordered by the Oversight Monitor found he failed to properly investigate and discipline a sergeant who was involved in a hit-and-run with his patrol car. Mayor Tao said she had lost confidence in the police chief. In an interview with California Insider's Siamak Karami, Armstrong said this plunged Oakland's reputation since many in the community feared they would become a victim.
People not willing to go outside at night. I know so many seniors in our community who have seen me and said, Chief, I don't come out at night because I'm afraid. I'm afraid to drive in the city at night. I'm afraid to shop at night. I'm afraid to park my car in certain areas because I know that my car is going to be burglarized. People are leaving their entire car with all windows down because they've been burglarized so many times that they don't want to replace windows anymore, so they just leave them all down and remove everything of value from their cars. And so it really has become something that people are even adjusting to, the lack of safety. And so that really is concerning.
He says there are reports of people hearing gunshots around the clock in the city. It also doesn't help that police staffing has been a challenge, leading to long response times. Armstrong adds that existing policies make it difficult for police to do their job, and that people have prioritized officer accountability over community needs. For example, a policy says an officer cannot pursue a burglar unless the crime committed is a felony.
A stolen car is not a violent felony. A burglary committed is not a violent felony, so then Oakland police officers cannot pursue that car. But how does that look to the public? If you're the person whose car was just stolen and you're standing there watching your car drive off and watching a police officer that cannot pursue that car, that definitely has an impact on that community member who now believes that the police didn't do anything. And that's the story that they tell. Unfortunately, it's not the officer's fault. It's the policy that prohibits the officer from pursuing that car, that stops him from pursuing it.
Last month, In-N-Out Burger announced it would close its first location in its 75-year history due to car break-ins, property damage, theft, and robberies at its only restaurant in Oakland.
A baby in Georgia was decapitated during delivery and is now being declared a homicide. The parents are now suing the hospital and doctor. NTD's Stephanie Sickens has the story.
A Georgia couple's baby, tragically decapitated during delivery, has been officially declared a homicide by a medical examiner. The parents, Jessica Ross and Trevian Isaiah Taylor Sr., have filed a lawsuit against the hospital and delivering doctor, Dr. Tracy St. Julian, who denies any wrongdoing. The medical examiner attributes the baby's death to a broken neck caused by human action. The parents accuse Dr. St. Julian of delaying necessary procedures and applying excessive force during delivery. The hospital, Southern Regional Medical Center, asserts the baby died in the mother's uterus and denies negligence. Clayton County Police are actively investigating the case for potential referral to prosecutors. Stephanie Sickens, NTD News.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. Artists brighten up California neighborhoods by painting utility boxes. One muralist shares her story. The Super Bowl is expected to bring major income to the host city of Las Vegas. We'll take a look at the forecast on the economic impact. Team Fluff faces off against Team Ruff this weekend at Poppy Bowl 20. Get a sneak peek at this year's adorable competition and vote for your favorite pup online. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. Artists in California are bringing color and beauty to neighborhoods across the state. Public utility boxes became blank canvases for artists to unleash their imagination and talent. NTD's Helen Billings has more on this growing trend.
You may have pulled up to a stoplight and seen a brightly painted utility box like this one. We talked to the artist Suzanne Gale from Hayward, California, who's painted almost 50 of these boxes around the Bay Area.
My goal is to work with bright colors and brighten people's day.
Gale said her paintings are designed to wrap around the whole box to draw the viewer in. She also paints murals and has been a professional artist for 35 years. She said the process starts with submitting an idea to the city. If chosen, next is the prep work, from sanding down the box to applying a special primer that keeps the paint from peeling. For the artwork, she uses a sun-resistant latex paint and finishes it with an anti-graffiti coating.
The idea to originally paint utility boxes was to deter people from tagging and graffiti and damaging the boxes. However, it's been nice because it's become community involved by allowing individuals, residents to make suggestions for both ideas, designs, and locations. And so that brings them in and makes them feel more involved and part of the community as well.
Her latest project was painting 3 boxes for the city of Hayward. Along with the horse and a mountain lion, Gale told NTD that she painted this hummingbird to bring something more colorful and bright to the series.
Well, this box is a third in a series, and it started with one of the residents making a suggestion for the first box. They wanted a horse-themed box in this community because people own ranches and have horses around here, and there's a lot of trails and a lot of nature.
Gale volunteers her services painting art and mentoring students at local schools. A few years back, she became wheelchair-bound but is still painting. Now, she is turning her focus to her new nonprofit called Stars Arts, which aims to help develop artists in her community who lack resources. Her first project is helping some kids at Juvenile Hall paint a mural. In Hayward, California, Helen Billings, NTD News.
A record number of Americans are expected to tune into Super Bowl 58 this Sunday, with consumer spending linked to the game also forecast to hit an all-time high. What will be the economic impact of hosting the Super Bowl in Las Vegas? Joining me to discuss this is John Boyd Jr., a corporation relocation and site selection expert. John, thanks for joining us. We have seen hotel prices are going through the roof this weekend, and even the cheapest the Super Bowl tickets would go for $8,000 each. Now, how much money are we talking about here that this one football game is going to bring to Las Vegas?
That's right. This is the first time Las Vegas will be hosting the Super Bowl, and it's going to have a huge economic impact. $1.1 billion is the estimation of money flowing into Las Vegas for the Super Bowl. 500,000 visitors the week leading up to the Super Bowl, spending money on things like restaurants and shopping and show tickets and hotel rooms. All of that provides a real boost to the Las Vegas economy, and it really puts an exclamation point on Sin City becoming Sports City, particularly with the success of the NHL Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Raiders, the relocation of the Oakland Athletics to the old Tropicana site, and of course Formula One racing, which has been a big success just a few months ago in Las Vegas.
Now, we often read about economists and academics downplaying the economic benefits of hosting major sporting events like the Super Bowl, the Olympics, World Cup, and more recently, the Formula One Grand Prix in Las Vegas. What's happening here?
Yes, economists typically look at the quantifiable economics with respect to hotel rooms and metrics related to hospitality spending and travel expenditures, people visiting from out of state. That only tells one part of the story. There's also a qualitative and location branding value of hosting an event like the Super Bowl. Some of the most influential decision makers in all facets of society, business leaders, sports leaders, media, celebrities will be in town forging relationships. Many of these celebrities will end up buying a second or third home in Nevada. This is a platform for a lot of the Reno stakeholders to create relationships with a global visitor base now, spending a week or so in Las Vegas, attending events, and ultimately the Super Bowl itself.
Nevada seems to be a popular destination now, even for companies leaving California, right?
Absolutely. Nevada has really become a location of choice for companies leaving California. So much of the success of Las Vegas' economy has been attracting human capital and businesses leaving Los Angeles and San Diego and Orange County because of the high taxes and quality of life issues. And you mentioned Reno. Some of the most premier high-growth submarkets are in northern Nevada. And Reno has become a destination of choice for tech industry leaving the Bay Area. Not every technology company wants to relocate out of California and go all the way to Austin or Raleigh or Miami. So, northern Nevada in particular really has emerged as a close-in alternative with great tax advantages and also lifestyle advantages for relocating workers.
Well, here's a personal question for you. What is your prediction on the Super Bowl, and which team are you rooting for?
I'm all in with Kansas City. It's one of my favorite cities in the country, but we'll see how it plays out.
All right, thank you so much, John.
Thank you, David. Great to be with you again.
While football players face off for the Lombardi Trophy this coming Sunday, Puppy Bowl 2024 celebrates 20 years of fetching people's hearts. Jason Blair brings us a look at some contenders from Team Ruff and Team Fluff.
After sniffing out talent from around the U.S., the 2024 Puppy Bowl will be the biggest one yet, with 131 puppies representing 36 states. Here's a peek at this year's lineup. Sonny is representing Team Ruff. He's a Chihuahua and miniature Schnauzer mix from Best Friends Animal Society in New York City. Sonny brings plenty of sunshine to the team and is a very strong defensive player. Levi is on Team Fluff. This Great Dane comes from Green Dogs Unleashed in Troy, Virginia. He's the largest competitor ever to compete in the Puppy Bowl and weighs an impressive 70 pounds. Sonny is said to have a majestic presence and he isn't afraid of competition. Francine is also on Team Fluff. She's a pug coming from Rescue Dogs Rock in New York. Organizers describe Francine as adorable but not to be underestimated. She wants everyone to know she's not here to make friends. Mr. Bean, representing Team Ruff, is a Papillon mix from the Barky Pines Animal Rescue and Sanctuary in West Palm Beach, Florida. Mr. Bean is described as very athletic. He was born without front legs and is said to have the strongest back legs of the team. He can hop twice as fast as any other player. These and 12 other furry competitors are also facing off in the popularity playoffs. Vote for your favorite pup on the Discovery Channel website. The 3-hour event's mission is to not only entertain but also to encourage pet adoption. You can catch the game at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern this Sunday on Animal Planet. Jason Blair, NTD News.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. And in more China news, in-depth coverage of the hacker group with ties to the Chinese Communist Party. FBI warned that the hackers compromised the computer networks of energy, water, and transportation systems across the U.S. for at least 5 years. Authorities kicked them out, but warns the hackers are looking to find their way back in. More details coming tonight at 9:30 on NTD's China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer. And that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.